Guys, it's all good. I'm just prepping for tonight. So, it's I was gonna just hop I was stream hopping back and forth, but it's all good, guys. If anybody wants to hop on, just hop on. It's cool. The where's the link? Yeah, I'll give you the link. I'm just gonna um I'm just gonna post it down here, and then if somebody wants to hop on, hop on. Yeah, I'm just getting ready for tonight. I was just watching a thing on the longshoremen, and that was cool to see. Um, and I've just been hopping from stream to stream. I was and just chilling out. And yeah, so anybody that wants to chat, come on up. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be I'm just looking at articles. I'm looking at various things, getting ready for tonight's chill stream. Um, you never know what people are gonna ask, so I just kind of do a little bit of research. I get my workspace neat. Need to change the. Where's my keyboard? I need to change the. I need to change that. Is that the right mouse? No, that's not right. That's not right. Not the right mouse. So let's try to change this. No, maybe not. Maybe that's the wrong mouse. Like, I don't know. I'll figure it out later. Sorry. What's up, guys? Yeah, I'm just chilling out, guys. If you want to talk about something, talk about it. Otherwise, I'm just sort of getting ready for tonight. Um, yeah, a lot of stuff to do, so nothing big. I was watching earlier the longshoreman, um, uh, I guess press release announcement, whatever you want to call it, where they were talking about where the head of the longshoreman says, he can strangle the country. I think I think that's an interesting thing. Let's see what else. What else is out there? So there's there's some stuff coming out in the economy. I'm looking at right now. Um, the Yeah, it's just normal. So I don't see anybody coming in the back yet, so that's fine. The stream with Samantha went really well last night. I don't know if you guys, I don't know how many of you guys saw that, but she was a great guest. Joe Mobley as well is a good guest. What's up, Calamity? How are you? Um, the links, scroll up and you can get the link if you want to pop up. We can chat for a minute, and let's see what else is going on out there in the world today. Oh, there we go. He's already done it. There he is. What's up, man?
What's going on?
Another day. What can I do you for?
It's a pleasure to be on your stream, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is just a chill stream. I was just, as I was saying, I don't know if you heard me. I was just bouncing from stream to stream, um, watching and or listening. Just you never know what's going to come up throughout the in a chill stream. So I kind of like, yeah, I just you do a little bit of research, you look around, and see what's happening out in the world today. There's a new scam going around Discord. I don't know if you guys have seen that yet. It's pretty. Pardon me. It's pretty interesting where the guys, they'll copy profiles and they will hit you up and act like they're admin or they're talking about something, and then they'll actually start hitting you up for, hey, are you making money out of this? Multiple streams of income are, and it's just a scam to kind of suck you in on stuff. It's an interesting thing on Discord, so be aware of that. I know one of the channels that I frequent had an issue with that today. Welcome back, Mister.
There's always a Discord scam going around, it seems. My friend had one last month where he was like, free $50 gift cards. And this is a guy that would never say that.
Right, right. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay. If you're going to give me a $50 gift card, okay, sounds good, dude.
Yeah.
His whole account got hacked and he had to go through this whole rigmarole changing all of his passwords. And
well, I think that I think there are a lot of people out there right now that have a lot of free time and they spend that time doing really stupid things to us, but to them, it's their free time. What do they got to lose? So I actually just had someone hack my Instagram. Now, Instagram's very good about, they sent me an email and said, hey, your password was changed. Was this you? If not, secure your account by X. And so I did. And I thought, what a ballsy move, right? Like, could you really expect somebody to change someone's password on their Instagram account and them not notice it? But my guess is that in the few hours that they have control of your account, they're able to spam out thousands of things to various people on Instagram to scam them. And that's my guess. I don't know that for a fact. That's just what the only thing makes sense, right? It's very interesting. The idea that we're somehow secure is very, it's just unbelievable. So yeah, I don't know, but yeah, the scams are out there in force. I mean, they always have been. I mean, let's just be honest. They've always been out there.
you just got to be smart about it, have some common sense and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Which seems to be less and less common every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, common sense isn't so common as Mark Twain said. Yeah, Mark Twain said that, I think. So you guys were talking about what were you guys talking about? I was trying to listen, but I was also listening to other stuff.
It was all political. We were kind of white pilled on Biden winning. Sorry, Biden winning. On Trump winning, and yeah, we're just talking about how being positive about it is a good thing because there's tons of negative people out there, and if we can just influence one person to stream to be positive about the whole thing, that's good. Or if we can get more people producing good content out there, that would be good.
Yeah, man. I talk about this a lot in my personal life, not just on stream, but it's interesting how even when we're winning, we're unhappy about it and we think we're going to lose. You ever notice that? You ever notice how, like, if you go talk to somebody and Trump, let's just be honest, none of the polls we're getting add up, right? Like, they just don't. There's no way that Kamala goes from a 60% disapproval rating in her own party to a 40% approval rating over Trump. It just doesn't happen. That's mathematically impossible. So there's, and then so when you start when you start applying logic or reasoning of any kind, all of this falls apart. But it's still people are just so negative and I honestly think it's because on the opposite side of the aisle, you have so many people that just act like they've already won. And it's an afterthought. Kamala's going to win. I'm telling you guys. And I think that conservatives, by literally the very name, are conservative. We don't necessarily believe we have it in the bag. We don't necessarily think that, it's a given that we're going to win. And so we just keep trying hard. The problem is that you have a lot of conservatives that have not lost faith, but they're not really truly conservative. They're fence riders. And a fence rider is just up there swaying in the breeze. And so when the news is good, he's all, he's standing up and taking the time, right? Um, but when it's um, when he's not, in full force, it's not that way, right? They're very negative about it, and they're almost to the point of if we use pill, they're like black pilled, right? They're or doomer pilled or whatever the fuck. But I don't think that you can, man. I just don't. I never get down about it, right? Like, look, I think Trump's going to win. The only question right now is whether or not he will make it into the White House, right? And we've laid out, somebody laid out the other night exactly how if and using, I think it was Imperious, who used a Game of Cards TV show plot line to say that Biden steps down, Kamala becomes president and is sworn in, and as president, she does not allow she does exactly what they accuse Trump of doing, and not allowing the results to be certified, and thus keeping Trump out of office. And I think that would be a bad move on their part. But they made a lot of bad moves on their part on the opposite side of the aisle. So it's good that you're not getting dejected, but it's I'm sorry, go ahead. You were going to say something.
I was just going to say, I would hope the Supreme Court, I would hope there'd be some lawsuits, and I would hope the Supreme Court would step in at that point.
Yeah, I mean, we always hope for this stuff, but you're talking about people who, you're really talking about a party that lies. I'm not going to say they lie professionally, but they're certainly not amateurs, right?
Well, Kamala's a good liar.
They're really good liars. I mean, you just have to acknowledge the fact that they are really, really good liars. And once you come to terms with, hey, you know what? These people are excellent liars. And not just in a political lie fashion where it's a lot, it's just they don't talk about it in the same way or whatever. Liars in the actual dynamic of they're literally everything they tell you is a lie. They know it's a lie, and they manufacture the lie specifically to push you down, to make you feel downtrodden, to make you feel like you can't win. And so conservatives, man, so here, have you ever had this conversation? You walk up, you're talking to somebody, and they're a liberal, and maybe they're not quite full-blown leftist, but they're a liberal. And you say, yeah, I'm voting for Trump, man. He's done so much for the economy. He did this, he did that. He's a businessman. And they'll shoot back with something like, well, I mean, how can he be such a great businessman when he filed bankruptcy 3 times? And a lot of people, because they're not prepared to answer that question, they go, well, I don't know. And they feel a little bit of shame, right? That shaming language works, and they feel that little bit of shame. And then they go, yeah, okay, well, maybe he filed bankruptcy, but, look at what he's done. Well, look what he did for the economy. And they'll say, well, hey, yeah, okay, sure. The economy was okay, but, that was Obama's policies. And so they always have some lie, right? To pull and tug at strings in your discussion. I don't know if you've had this type of discussion with the leftists, but they never feel ashamed. You can literally say, well, Biden is now denying the fact that he was David Duke's best buddy right? Like a known racist, right? Like a known white supremacist was Biden's best buddy, and he denies it. But yet there's video of them hanging out together.
There's pictures of him at the front row at his funeral.
Right. Yeah. And well, no, Biden wasn't a racist. Well, okay. How is it that Biden never voted no on a single anti-racism bill? Why? How did what's his voting record towards racism is atrocious, and he literally said, "Not in my neighborhood. I don't want my kids going to school with them."
Didn't he use the word jungle?
He did. I'm not going to say I'm not going to do that, but yeah, he did. He said, yeah, he doesn't want, and he lied about his education. You say, well, he lied about his education. He said he finished top in his class. He finished almost dead ass last. That was a literal lie, like proven. You can't get around it. He lied. Well, it doesn't really, but you will never shake a liberal's. You'll never shake their confidence that way, because they don't care. They know it's a lie. They understand when they open their mouth that they're lying, and they're okay with it, because it doesn't matter, because to them it's just
But you ever notice how
to them it's the only thing matters is that they win.
Yeah, it's Orange Man bad. They never argue. They always talk about his personality, and they never talk about his policies, because they know his policies are winners.
Well, when they do talk about the policy, they misrepresent the policy, right?
I mean, like, what has Kamala Harris put forth besides $25,000 for first-time home buyers? She says she wants to help small businesses. What else? She says something about she wants to, make immigration reform, which is total bullshit. I mean, she wants to just make amnesty for everyone that's come in because she wants the voters. I mean, it's a joke.
Yeah, well, she doesn't want it. She never wants to get pinned down on policy, because where she will lose every single time is on policy. She doesn't want to get tied down on policy. So if we think about this just rationally, right? Trump, if you ask him what his immigration policy is, he goes bang, 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 bang. And that's how we're going to do it. If you ask Kamala what her policy is, it's, well, I feel this, I feel that, I've been told by these people, and their plight is so terrible, and we really have to do something, and we something has to be done, and we're going to do it. And that's all you're going to get. That's literally it. There's no more you're going to get out. They're not going to say, we're going to reduce the people coming across the border daily by half. Right? They never say that. They won't say that. They can't say that, because if they say that, they have to live up to it. That's measurable. And when they fail at doing it, which they will, because they don't believe in it, then they can be held accountable. You have to understand that the entire thing, look, when you're dealing with a Democrat, you're dealing with a 4-year-old that doesn't want any accountability. No, I didn't break that. Well, I saw you break it. No, it wasn't me. Didn't break it. Okay. Did you eat the cookie? Nope, didn't eat the cookie. Well, I can literally see crumbs on your hand and your mouth. Did you eat the cookie? Nope. That's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with Democrats. Every single time. If you find an honest Democrat, you've really accomplished something.
That's a good point.
Like, really, you've really accomplished something. Because to be a Democrat in the first place is to be completely delusional and not have any touch with reality. Beyond, I feel like something has to be done. It's just terrible. It's terrible stuff.
I mean, when you see people like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK step over the line, cross over, and actually associate with Trump, go to rallies, speak positive, tell about policy, tell how terrible Kamala is, that takes a lot of balls, because they know that it's almost career suicide for them if he doesn't get in. Like, yeah, they're still gonna have a place, but those are the people. Those are the people you want, because they're gonna influence at least some, not a lot, but some, in my opinion.
I like Vance a lot, Smokey Guru. I think that Vance was very honest. And again, I don't know Vance. I can't speak to his character, and I wouldn't even want to try. But when he sat there, and in every interview where he was asked point blank, you've said so many things about Trump. You literally said that you would that you did not want to vote for Trump in 2016. He literally said, he did say that. There's video. He said, yeah, and I meant it. At that time, I thought he was going to destroy the country. I bought into the rhetoric that he was going to destroy the country. Instead, what happened is we had 4 years of extreme financial growth. We were the most peaceful the world has been ever. And what Trump did in those 4 years is something that he admired, and he admitted that. So it takes a big set of balls to say that, because he could have just said, yeah, I disagreed with him. I don't anymore. Next question. But he didn't. He was very clear. He used language that cannot be reversed when he made those statements. You ever notice it? One of the things that that's very interesting when you listen to a politician, and listen for this the next time you're listening to a politician and you want an idea whether or not they're lying. If they say things that they can easily reverse on, right? Like, I feel this, I'm not really sure about that, I don't have all the information, whatever. There's a lot of these descriptors. If you have that going on and you hear them say that, they're going to reverse later. Because again, all Vance really had to say was, yeah, I thought that back then, I don't now. Next question. And later they could have said, well, Vance, what do you think about Trump? Well, let me be clear. I did say that I didn't feel that way about him anymore, but I only actually felt X amount that he was right X amount, and therefore, who cares? It's now, but I never really believed in him. I never really thought that he did well, and I didn't comment on his record at that time because, to be honest with you, I didn't believe in his record. And look, I was right. And this is how politicians talk, and we have to be very careful when we do that. I think. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, like you were saying, all Democrats do is lie. They open their mouth and they lie, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
Vance actually told the truth. It's funny. The truth will set you free. And look at that. He was specific on what he said. He didn't speak like in generalities.
Like a whole conversation in chat that I can't follow. I'm trying to follow it, but I can't follow it.
It's like, yeah. That's all Kamala does is speaking like
gibberish. It's just total non-committal gibberish
and generalities. That's all she does.
Yeah, absolutely. Why would she say something that you could buckle her down on? Why would she say anything at all that somebody could point to later and say, you lied, you lying bitch, you lied? Why would she ever do that? She's not a good politician, but she's not absolutely inept either. I mean, I'm just being honest here.
I mean, right? she has 4 years to reflect upon almost. So I mean,
well, no, dude, her. I mean, I don't know if you know anything about this piece of crap, but she only ever got her job because she slept with somebody. She literally sucked dick to get into office.
Yeah, the governor of California. Yep.
Well, Judge Willie Brown. Literally, he made her career, and she did whatever he wanted, and he made her whole career. That's fact. You can't get around that. And then as soon as she had any power whatsoever, she funneled millions of dollars of government contract, state and federal, into her husband's construction company. I actually, and literally, I'm not kidding, I always thought that it was just a few million, maybe 10 million, 12 million, something like that. No, dude, I think it's $1 billion. I think her and her husband have defrauded the government in various forms at $1 million.
Billion.
Or pardon me, $1 billion. $1 billion in contracts of things that were never delivered. Never. Nothing's been finished. And people ask, like, why does her husband put up with her? Why is he, she apparently sucks every swinging dick that will help her move up a notch in politics. Why is that? Well, because he got $1 billion to be a cuck. It's probably a good trade. I don't know. I'm not there, not into it, but I mean, seriously, I mean, that's what you're talking about, right? I mean, and this is why they hate Trump. The real reason why they hate Trump is because they can't buy him, they can't scare him, they can't threaten him, they really can't do shit to Trump. Like, they're trying to put him in jail, and he just keeps telling them to suck his cock, right? Like, that's what he's doing. Let's just be honest about the way Trump is handling this whole thing. He's like, suck my dick. Right?
I mean, look at what happened after the second assassination attempt. He was someone walked up to him and was like, "What do you think about this?" He's like, "I was looking forward to the next hole of golf. I mean, I have a good story going.
I was gonna birdie that next hole. I'm really mad that I didn't get to finish.
I mean, that's his approach. I mean, he takes everything in stride and is just like, I don't care. I'm going to be president. Like, he doesn't care. He's like, nothing is going to stop me.
Right. And you can hear all the criticisms that they talk about Trump. But I mean, Trump is, I mean, I long before he was ever considered before president, I read his book, The Art of the Deal. I originally really didn't like Trump that much because he was a Democrat. He was a New York Democrat. And he had this air of playboy about him. But then when you really kind of dig into what he really did, I mean, he worked his balls off. And when they talk about these, the interesting thing is when they talk about the bankruptcies, right? Now, those are what I would consider a tactical bankruptcy, because what would happen is he would go in with people, right, to build something like a
casino,
a casino or a luxury resort. I think it was mostly casinos. And his investors would either run out of money or they would get nervous and want to pull out and fuck him, right? And Trump's like, I'm going to be honest with you. Trump is one of those dudes that he's just not going to let you fuck him. He's just not going to do it. And so his literal policy was, if you tried to fuck him, he fucked you first, right? And he would declare bankrupt. He would declare a BK, and they would lose all their investment, and he'd walk away. It seems wrong, but it really isn't from a business point of view. If you try and fuck me, I'm going to fuck you first and harder. That's just the way it is, right? Like, just don't do that. And now all the people that have been in business with Trump and held up their end and did what they were supposed to do, they're all fucking wealthy. All of them. Every single one of them. They're wealthy. Not rich, wealthy. There's a difference. And this is why the left truly hates Trump now, because he was one of them by convenience. And let's just be honest, true, that Trump is not a conservative. Trump's a moderate. Right? He tried running on the Democrat ticket as a moderate Democrat like 3 times, I think. He couldn't get he couldn't get past the primary. He wasn't willing to spend enough. First of all. And he knew that he wasn't really going to have the support. He finally figured out that to the left, all he was a guy that writes checks to donate to them. That's it. right? Like, remember in the first election, they said, well, you donated $15,000 to, what's her name? Hillary Clinton's campaign back in whatever. And he's like, yeah, I did. It's business. It's what we do. It's how I get my tax breaks. It's how I get my contracts. It's how shit works. You not understand how shit works? Apparently not, because you're not fucking rich. And so I don't have. So I grew to like Trump. I didn't like Trump originally, and I thought that the way everyone treats him is hilarious, right? He's he's just a guy. The thing is that right now it is the chill stream. I'm just prepping for tonight, and Calamity is asking me political questions, which probably won't come up in tonight's chill stream. So I'm glad to engage on politics. The thing about Trump is he gets results. If Trump had bombed, they wouldn't give a fuck. The Democrats would have let him get reelected. If the economy was doing bad, they would have let him. They wouldn't have had any problem. But the problem is that Trump went in and fucking succeeded. And now what they have to look at is for the last 16 years, 12 years under Democrat control of the budget and finance and the economy. And in the 4 years Trump was in office were the best 4 years, period. And you can't get around that. And they know it. Right? So they got to destroy the man. They have to destroy him. What's up, Chaotic? How you doing, man? It's a chill stream. Before my chill stream tonight, I was actually just doing work. I was looking at this longshoremen's thing. That's going to be really interesting. We're about to get completely fucked by Biden, completely before he leaves office. Just so you guys know, this is what it feels like when somebody fucks you and walks out the door.
Lame duck. He's going to do whatever he can.
Yeah. You know what he's doing with it, right? Do you understand what's going on with the longshoreman thing? Because it's fascinating.
I actually don't.
Okay. So the Longshoremen's Union. So right now they're up. Right now there's a bunch of contracts up for renewal with the Longshoremen's Union, and the Longshoremen's the ILA, which is not actually. It's a small portion of the Longshoremen's Union. It's the International Longshoremen's Association. And so, but it's like 70,000 workers on the East Coast. The West Coast, which is becoming more and more automated, are perfectly happy with the way things are. The East Coast, where things are less automated and they don't want automation, they're scared of it. They know it's going to eliminate jobs. They know it's going to cause, it's going to make things more competitive. They, the ILA is just absolutely annoyed. And the leader of it has said he will strangle the U.S. He will cripple the supply line. And the way he's saying it, he fucking means it. I mean, that dude is ready to strike and strike hardcore. We may see something like, back in the 70s, where, strike breakers were called in with fucking axe handles and shit. Like this is going to be serious. And they what they're asking for is a 70% increase over a number of years in salary. Now this is bullshit because in 2 years they'll come back to the table and ask for even more. But in the meantime, it's going to get messy, right? And they really are trying. They're really trying to resist the automation for container ships, and they're due to go on strike, I think October 1st. Right now, they're not going to make the negotiations are not where it's going to be. When they do that, you're talking about $7 billion in trade goods a day that's not going to get unloaded. Now, in the long to continue to be part of the Longshoremen's Union, the ILA and its 70,000 employees or employee members, they will have to work 90 days past the negotiation deadline, and basically they can do what's considered like a soft strike, right, where they picket, they do things like that, but they still have to go to work. And he said, yeah, I'll go to work for 90 days, but instead of doing 30 units an hour, or 80 units an hour, we'll do 30. Fuck with us and see what happens. That's basically what he's saying. I mean, I'm paraphrasing here, but that's what he's saying, And then after that 90 days, which, by the way, Trump will be in office by then, that 90 days is over, all the shit stops on the East Coast, the entire East Coast. That's what we're really talking about, except for maybe Florida. But New York, Massachusetts, Maine, all of it shut down. Nothing really getting unloaded. And it's a very, very interesting thing that's happening. And I agree, Silvar Ogre, I think they're doing it. I think they're doing this. I think the Dems are motivating this to, well, first of all, we also understand, did you know that the Teamsters are not supporting a candidate this year?
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah, it's like the first time in 40 years they haven't supported a candidate.
I think the rank and file 59% were Trump supporters, and I think
it's
it was
over
like 38.
60. Yeah, it's over 60.
I think 38% only were for Kamala, and I don't know what the undecided was, 12% or whatever.
Yeah, the numbers I saw was over 60 for Trump and almost none for Kamala, like less than
it was a slaughter. Yeah,
it was so they're not supporting a candidate. That's it. But,
your mic is a little weird, by the way.
I don't know. I moved away from it.
There you go.
I also turned it down because I was blowing people out last night. Yeah, dude, we're being set up, guys. We're being set up. If you don't understand that, they're not with the longshoremen are not longshoremen. The Teamsters Union are just not supporting anyone right now. That's what it is. It's not that they withdrew support. They withdrew support for Biden when he was no longer, because originally they were supporting Biden. They were behind him at all the way. I mean, not all the way, but you understand what I mean. I got to read some chat here. I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah, I think. What was I going to say? So I did not know about that. That does sound absolutely horrible. I wonder if Trump knows. I'm sure he knows about this. There has to be some level of negotiation that he can kind of. If there's one thing he's good at, it's talking to people and negotiating.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know enough about this to know how complex it is, but you would think if he could stop the war in Russia and Ukraine, that he could probably avert this. But again, I don't know enough about it. So that's just kind of shooting from the hip there.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is what I think. Okay. This is just it's a personal opinion. That's all it is. Personally, I think this is a golden opportunity for Trump. And I think the Democrats are really fucking up. The worst possible thing they can do is leave him a mess to fix, because he will go in and he'll sort it out and it will be done. Like, it'll be done. Like, he will go in and he'll work with those guys and it'll be done. Right. The president cannot dissolve the union, R. Allen. However, the president can certainly lean on the union with threats of sanctions. I mean, he can't sanction them, right? Which they don't want. So, and also he can. I think that there's something the Supreme Court can do with regard to unions. I'm not a union guy, so I don't really know. Yeah, anyone shorting stock will have a field day. Anybody, I mean, there's when someone wins, other people lose, and vice versa.
Just,
in my opinion,
just buy what Nancy Pelosi buys. You'll be fine.
Off of the strike? Who's going to profit off the strike? Anybody with goods in the country right now, because we're going to have, if the strike actually happens, I think it will. Hoarding. Remember COVID? Remember the unpleasantness? Yeah, that's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to see.
Toilet paper off the shelves for a couple of weeks.
Toilet paper is a domestic product, but anything that's made offshore, which, by the way, interestingly enough, because of the unpleasantness, we don't actually get that much stuff from offshore anymore because of the unpleasantness. This is this is an interesting thing because we went through this just a few years ago, and nobody had any problems getting anything really. Once after the first couple of months, it was fine. This time, this is happening in such slow motion that just stock up on, domestic products. Now, now here's what's going to hurt. This is what's going to hurt. All of those unions have massive funds to pay out strike pay. So the economy will stay even for probably, I don't know, a month, 2 months maybe. And then it's going to get ugly. The longer the strike goes on, the worse it's going to get. Personally, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's not going to be that big a deal. First of all, I don't believe it's in the best interest of the ILA to cause that. They could lose their charter from the actual longshoremen's union, right? Like this is the game they're walking. They're because on the West Coast, nobody has a problem. Everybody's great. They're adapting to the technology and all of that. It's the East Coast that's a problem. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting. The oil industry will maybe be hit hard. I don't know how much oil we're bringing in right now. I mean, I know we're bringing in a lot, but I don't know how much we need to bring in versus what we can produce internally. I personally would like for us to, I would love for that to happen because once that does happen, it lasts longer than 30 or 90 days, they will go to, we'll be back fracking again. We got a lot of oil, man. Got a lot of oil.
Once Trump gets in, I mean, the Keystone Pipeline is going to be immediately put
I think
Alaska drilling. We're going to be drilling. We're going to be fracking like we've never fracked before.
Well, I think we have time. If Trump's back in, so I think Trump's going to be smarter the second time. This is what I hope anyway. I hope that Trump is way smarter the second time because, he really trusted a lot of people he shouldn't have trusted. Again, he comes from the business world where if you fuck me, I can fuck you harder, and then we'll go to court. And he did well. But he really, let's be honest, he trusted the wrong people, and he got some bad advice. So he did have some things I felt like he could do a lot better in the first term, and all of the things I felt like he could do better in the first term, they all boiled down to him actually not trusting. That, hey, you need to put this guy in, right? Like, I would never put Bill Barr in as director of the FBI. I just wouldn't have done it.
We have to remember that he had Russiagate hanging over his head.
He had a lot of things going on.
He had 2 impeachments. I mean, he had the media was 99% negative against him. I mean, sure. he had everything working against him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not using that as an excuse for him picking crappy people. Like Bill Barr was horrible. I mean, John Bolton was horrible. I mean, there was just tons of people he picked that were bad. He could fill his administration with actual quality people, and that's what I'm really hoping for. Tulsi Gabbard, RFK. I mean, there are actual populists, if he puts populists in these roles, I think we're in for a very good time.
So Silvar Ogre, I think that's why the longshore. I think the tariffs are actually why the longshoremen are right now. So are doing this now and not if Trump gets elected, because if the tariffs go into effect, a longshoreman strike doesn't fuck anybody in the U.S. It only fucks the foreign countries that can't get their shit unloaded, and so they lose a lot of power over the U.S. with tariffs, and they know it, and they understand it very clearly. So, and by the way, once they're messing around with a government, a foreign government that will put people on their ships to unload their ships, because China's got billions of people, man. Like, they're not going to care. They'll literally send over an extra 30 or 40 people and equipment to unload containers. I mean, they do it all over the world anyway. The U.S. is one of the few places that they don't do that, because we have unions and shit. It could be really interesting for them to do that. As a matter of fact, I almost kind of want to see that happen. That's a sick thing for me to say, but I kind of want to see it happen. Yeah.
Everyone always looks at the accident on the other side of the freeway.
Right. Yeah. I kind of want to see it happen. I kind of want to see it happen just because it will push. I really want to see the Dems push to the limit so that they're unmasked as much as possible. I really want to see that.
I thought the debate was a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The debate was, whatever. Imagine Kung Fu axe gains versus, I think he means Kung Fu axe gains versus axe handles. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the other thing, you start messing around with foreign governments and their trade, that's a whole other deal. I don't see this going. I don't see this going well for anybody. And I'm just paying attention. I'm watching this meltdown in real time, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Where are you getting this from? Just so, because
give me a second. I'll throw you a link. Let me see if I can find it again.
Yeah, because I haven't heard about this, and it sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, I'm always. I mean, this is what I do at pre-shows. I come out to my studio, and I, basically just look and study here. Yeah, all right. Hang on, I'll just throw it there. Hang on. Let me see if I can pop this out. There we go. And we'll do a.
Of what's going on with shipping. Will the ILA strike on October 1st? I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. And you just heard Harold Daggett, the president of the International Longshoremen's Association, in what is entitled A Candid Conversation. I cannot imagine an uncandid conversation with Harold Daggett, but that's the candid one, where President Daggett talked about.
Did you guys hear what he said to start with?
And women.
In today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you.
On today's episode of What's Going On with Shipping, will the ILA strike on October 1st? I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. Welcome to today's episode. And you just heard Harold Daggett, the president of the International Longshoremen's Association in what is entitled A Candid Conversation. I cannot imagine an uncandid conversation with Harold Daggett, but that's the candid one, where President Daggett talked about whether or not his men will go, and women will go on strike on October 1st. And if I'm a betting person, I think that's a person who is committed to either getting what he wants, or we can expect to see ports along the east and Gulf Coast of the United States shut down on October 1st. What does that mean going forward, and what are the chances of that? We're going to talk about it in today's episode. If you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out.
And pay taxes. They want to get rid of them. Where's the president of the United States? He's not fighting for us. He told in LA, he told the union, hurry up and get a contract. That's the mentality they have. They don't even know what the hell they're doing today. Well, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to save everybody's job when it comes to the ILA and to all the unions around the world, because we're going to fight with that alliance. I'll shut them down throughout the world to prove that we can beat them.
A little more of that candid conversation there by Harold Daggett, the president of the ILA. Container shipping lines fear port strike will paralyze half of U.S. trade. This is a Bloomberg story over in G-Captain. If you start looking at the stats, it is pretty mind-boggling. This is from Mediterranean Shipping Company, who put out a customer alert. They're saying that this may not be resolved by September 30th deadline. That would delay the shipment of containers, both imports and exports, on trucks and railroads through ports from Boston to Houston. Goes on here in the advisory, booking adjustments include rolls to other vessels, or cancellations may be needed. The Geneva-based company said it will continue to accept requests for dry cargo services while reserving the right to not accept new refrigerated bookings. I think this is the stat that stands out the most for me. Oxford Economics estimate that a strike would cost the U.S. economy $4.5 billion to $7.5 billion a week, a hit to gross domestic product that would be reversed after it's over and shipments resume. Then you have this story by Mike Schuller. ILA fires back at the U.S. Maritime Alliance unfair labor practice publicity stunt. The ILA strongly rebuked the USMX for filing an unfair labor practice charge against him, calling it a weak publicity campaign and a publicity stunt. Goes on here, the USMX filed the charge with the National Labor Relations Board on Thursday over the repeated refusal to come to the table and bargain. In response, the ILA accused the U.S. Maritime Alliance of attempting to mislead the public about their concern for longshoremen workers and their commitments to negotiations. The ILA spokesman said National Longshoremen Strike. Have this available for you to take a look at in full detail. You can break it apart, but I want to highlight just a couple of issues that they make here. This is a look at the imports and exports in terms of value on the East and Gulf Coast of the U.S. At the bottom, you see the value in billions of dollars, and then the colors, the percentage, is how much of that comes in through the East Coast. So, for example, in terms of imports, if you look at the top ones, we're looking at pig iron, alloy steel, natural rubber, iron ore, tin, cocoa beans, ferrous products, and a whole batch of chemicals coming in. But overwhelmingly, you're talking about over 90% of those are coming in. If you look at the exports going out, fuels, mineral oil, machinery, mechanical, electrical machinery, vehicles, aircraft, opticals, photographic, pharmaceuticals, plastics, all of these are large percentages going out, except for aircraft, which is about 18%, optical 16%. But a lot of this is coming out of the East Coast, Gulf Coast ports. This is what we're going to see. Notice what you don't see here are things like food and other commodities, even though you're going to hear about bananas and a lot of other commodities. So one of the big fears that this is going to do is force shipments to come into the United States via other methods, either by Europe routing through the Panama Canal and coming to the West Coast, or potentially coming into Canadian and Mexican ports and coming in on rail. Now, not every port has an ILA presence along the East and Gulf Coast, but it's going to be very difficult to get ships in and out of ports in the U.S. East Coast unless they can make it to all the required ports. This chart gives you the top 10 ports as determined by ILA presence with the total imports and exports. So, for example, when you're looking at New York, New Jersey, you're looking at imports of somewhere in the range of $232 billion, and that's 7.5% of U.S. value of petroleum. In terms of exports, it's vehicles. In Houston, it's petroleum. In New Orleans, it's returned exports and aircraft. Savannah, vehicle parts and vehicles. And you can just see there the amount of goods that are coming in and out of U.S. ports. And to give you a snapshot of just a single port, this is the top 15 impacted sectors in the Hampton Roads, Virginia ports. They spelled Hampton wrong. I did notice that in this. But you're looking at output in millions, machinery, primary metals, chemicals, manufacturing, electrical material, real estate being largely goods for building homes. Wholesale was the end of it. But I want to give you his full statement here.
But today's world, it's changing into the future. They're not making millions no more. They're making billions, and they're spending it fast as they make it. I want a piece of that for my men, because when they made their most money was during COVID. When my men had to go to work on those piers every single day, when everybody stayed home and went to work. Not my men. They died out there with the virus. We all got sick with the virus. We kept them going. From Canada to Maine to Texas, Great Lakes, Puerto Rico, now the Bahamas, everybody went to work during COVID. Nobody stayed home. Well, I want to be compensated for that. I'm not asking for the world. They know what I want. They know what I want. And if they don't, well, then I have to go into the street and we have to fight for what we rightfully deserve. These people today don't know what a strike is.
Right.
When my men hit the streets from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the company's money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. And in today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means. Nobody does.
Okay. I think he's serious. I don't know about everybody else, but that gives me the impression of someone who's serious about going on strike. Now, I want to flip it for just a second here. ILA is not at the table with the U.S. Maritime Alliance. I would get more credence to the ILA here if they were sitting down negotiating, but they're not. They walked away from the table because, let's be clear, they don't feel like the U.S. Maritime Alliance is giving them what they want. Both sides need to sit down. There needs to be a sit down. They need to be at the table together. However, I think it's Friday afternoon now. This strike hits Monday evening into Tuesday morning on October 1st. I think even if they sit down, they're not going to be able to hammer out a deal here. And I don't think that Daggett and the ILA are going to do a deal like they did on the West Coast with the ILWU and the PMA, where they continue working past the deadline without a contract. I would almost bet you that they watched and studied what happened on the West Coast and other union negotiations, the UAW, what had happened with the Teamsters, and they are going to exercise this. Think about this for a minute. They are at the best inflection point in terms of labor to do this strike. You have a lame duck president who is leaving office, who's a friend of labor. Joe Biden was on a picket line, with them, even though he's kind of harsh on Joe Biden here. You have two potential presidents coming in, Harris on the Democrat, Trump on the Republican side. Trump is talking about increased tariffs, which would shut down or slow down imports into U.S. ports. Harris doesn't want to be saddled with this coming in. So this is the most leverage the ILA has right now. And they're fighting against foreign shipping companies that have made billions of dollars off the global supply chain crisis. And they're making money right now being routed around Africa because of the crisis from the Houthi. This has the potential to impact everything. You're going to have car carriers impacted. Containers are going to be impacted. Depending on the ports, if ILAs are line handlers, you may have some tankers and grain carriers impacted. This is going to be strategic. 50% of container imports come in through the eastern Gulf Coast of the United States. If all of a sudden this shuts down, what's going to happen is if it's a day, no immediate impact. You're not going to see shortages or anything, but it will take about a week to straighten everything out if it's a day strike. If it's a week strike, you're talking about going into November, potentially December. If it's more than 2 weeks, it's the new year coming in. And let's be clear, you're not going to see shortages. All of a sudden, things aren't going to disappear off the shelves because there's not coming in the ports. They are going to disappear off the shelves because people are going to panic. I guarantee you that. There will be panic, and people will start buying anything. When we saw the initial Houthi stopping of vessels, we saw a massive spike all of a sudden in freight rates. Well, then the initial shock wore off, and then we saw the gradual climb here because of the shock it had to the system. But eventually you reached a period where you get equilibrium. But what we're seeing right now is that's going to happen here. We're going to have a massive spike in issues. We could see costs go up, inflation go up for goods that are all of a sudden in short supply. Manufacturing is going to be a problem because manufacturing relies on just-in-time logistics. So we're going to see some plants shutting down or
Well,
All right.
that was dramatic.
Yeah. You gotta. Yeah, that's what I do. As part of my preps, I just go find stuff. I've been hearing about the potential strike, and so I was just doing research on it just to see where it is and who's really who the players are. But it's that old guy. Honestly though, I don't know, man. They are at maximum leverage, but I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But yeah.
He seemed yeah, I mean, that guy was right. I mean, he definitely seems serious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That guy seems like that. He's a guy that will literally shut everything down.
It almost sounds like he wants to. I don't know. Like the way he was talking, it was like even if he wanted to sit down with these people, it sounds like he would be like they wouldn't give him what he wants anyway. So he's just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah, I think that's a very real assessment. I think that he would just as soon not do anything than do the right thing. If that makes sense.
He's been around this world a long time. I think I think he might be doing it. He might be like you. He might be like, I kind of want to see how this plays out.
Well, I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be interesting because I mean on the one hand, I think that they have a point, right? They're going to start losing jobs over the next few years as the East Coast ports start to modernize. And the crisis that they're facing, I don't know if this has hit anybody yet, but the crisis they're facing is not the salary for the existing workers. The existing workers are paid well. They really don't have any reason to complain about it. Like the auto workers wanting 80, they're basically just following what the auto workers did when they wanted 80%. Problem is auto workers didn't have any leverage. So they didn't get 80%. They got an increase, but they didn't get 80%. Ask for the moon, take what comes your way. However, in this case, he has a lot of leverage. He knows he has a lot of leverage. He also knows he's obviously not a stupid man. If he didn't figure it out for himself, somebody has told him that going forward, there's going to be less and less dock workers, which is less and less funds going into his coffers to pay for the benefits that people get when they pay into a union their whole lives. That, a lot of the money that unions bring in goes to pay, retired and disabled union members. That's it's part of the benefit, right? That's one of the selling points behind joining a union is this idea of a retirement account, more or less. And with the less and less workers, there's less and less money to do that, which means there's less and less, the money still has to get paid out. They still have to fulfill their obligations. But it takes away money that they have in their budget to run the union. Now, I've always found it interesting how much money it costs to run a union, because it's a lot. And there's no real reforms for unions. So, me personally, I hope they do strike. I hope they do strike, and I hope that I hope that strike breakers go in. I hope the union's abolished. I hope that it goes away, and that there's a complete revamp of the longshoreman system. Right? That's what I hope. I hope that this guy's little power play fails. I hope that the longshoreman companies become independent. They work, they work like any other business, and they and they succeed or fail on their merit. This would mean that companies would not have to pay the massive amounts of union. I don't think you guys realize this, but not only do they ask for the unions don't just ask for money for the employees. They also ask for money for themselves. Large, and I don't like myself. So
your mic's a little weird again.
Is it really? It could just be my voice because I still have.
No, it was kind of muffled.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's good now.
Put it back up.
I was going to ask you a question. I didn't mean to interrupt,
Sure.
but I didn't notice it on his charts or anything. What kind of effect would this have on our GDP?
On our GDP?
Yeah.
I don't think it'd have any real effect on our GDP. Whoa, too much. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. I'll give one more click. I don't know that it has any real effect on our GDP. I think it could affect our economy as far as the amount of exports we have and that sort of thing, because we wouldn't be able to ship things out as easily. But really, it doesn't matter because we have so 30 years ago, it would have mattered because we had good infrastructure, not great infrastructure. Fuel economy wasn't that great. Costs a lot of money to move anything anywhere. But the thing is that all of the things that are coming in through New York and down the East Coast, they can all come in through Canada. They literally just alter course a little bit, and they come right in through Canada, come through the northern border. Now they've really fucked themselves. They can the same thing can happen in Mexico. They literally can land, instead of landing in Texas, Louisiana, and Georgia, they just bypass all of those, go right into Mexico, come right up through the Texas border. It literally doesn't cost us any more or less. Okay. The difference is that those employees do not have jobs anymore. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, the 70,000. Yeah.
70,000 people would be out of work because of this. As you saw on the map, they can also just go down through the canal and come back up and go through Los Angeles. The Port of Los Angeles is becoming more and more automated. San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, they're all becoming more and more automated. So they would be able to handle the volume without a lot of trouble. So I don't think that this is a solid move by the longshoremen at all. I think it's a very poorly planned move. So
I think once that starts to happen, that guy's going to realize that his power play was really just a weak show of force that's only going to last a week.
Well, he has the most power that he's probably ever had. And so he has to make the play. The problem is that I think the way the timeline is working, it's working against him. As the guy says in the video, you've got Biden. What did I miss, Josie? Josie, the link was posted earlier. You can come up if you want. Anybody can come up, by the way. I posted the link earlier. I don't know if you'd have to scroll to see it. I don't know if it's still up there, but whatever. I think that you have to really realize that as the guy says in the video, you've got Biden is a friend of labor, but he's not all there. And I don't know that he could get anything done. I don't think he has enough influence to get anything done. Other than he could sign an executive order, as you heard, that basically puts them back to work for 90 days. Kamala, I don't know how she would handle it. But she can't do anything either, because all she can do is force the Maritime Workers Union to back to we'll see. Actually, she couldn't do that. All she could do is force the ILA back to the table, or attempt to, and she wouldn't be. And the oil and gas people, or not oil and gas, the Maritime Union. The Maritime Union's at the table willing to talk. It's the ILA that's not. And I agree, Kamala won't do shit.
She's a prosecutor, man. She's got all the experience in the world.
Yeah, she won't do anything. Trump, I think, could negotiate something and make it work. But the problem that this guy faces is the amount of automation that's going into. It's the same thing the auto workers faced, is the more and more automation, and the jobs change. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I'm not really sure what monopolies have to do with anything. I'm trying to read the chat too. Yeah.
He was saying that if this goes past 2 weeks, that this is going to clear the new year. I find that to be interesting.
Yeah. I mean,
that sounds a bit excessive.
I think it's pipe dream. I think it's a pipe. I mean, it might. I mean, absolutely. He absolutely could keep it shut down. But you have to understand that even though those union workers are getting strike pay, they're going to get a lot of hate. I mean, a lot. And even if they are on strike pay, they have to go to the same grocery stores and fight for the same goods as everybody else. If they go to buy a car, they can't buy a car because there are no cars, right? So this is this kind of bullshit that that I'm like, whatever. You guys are gonna fuck yourselves, and I'm gonna let you. Strike pay isn't shit. Okay, I believe you. I don't think that So the thing is I bet that this is not an employee demanded strike. I think this is a strike that these guys are, and the big deal here is automation, right? Oh fuck, $40 a week for strike pay? You're fucking kidding me. What are you guys in a union for? Jesus fucking Christ. You guys pay a lot of money into that thing. Put that money in an account.
It's worse than jury pay.
That is. I think you get paid more to be in
it's like I think
you get paid more to be on a jury. You guys should put in for jury duty.
I think it's $55 a month here for or a day for plus gas. They pay you gas, so it's probably like $80. So you can make more jury pay. That's crazy.
Yeah. $500 a week. I mean, that's better than nothing.
That's like $12 an hour or something.
Yeah. There's a link if anybody wants to come up, have fun. I think it's interesting. Look, and I'm not an expert on unions by any means. I don't believe in them. I've never been a part of one. I never wanted to be a part of one. You know. So
I think a lot of unions are terrible. I don't know why rich actors need unions, for instance. I think that's complete bullshit. But
that's so that they can control the talent.
yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, it seems stupid to me. But like you, I don't. I've never been in a union. I never want to be in a union. I've always thought they're kind of bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. You pay 2.5 hours a month for union dues. What is that in money to you, Ghost?
It actually doesn't seem terrible.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're at $80 an hour, that's what's $200 maybe, or $100? No, yeah, it's $200.
Times that by 70,000. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But when you have all those retirements and stuff like that you have to pay, I mean, you kind of need that money.
Were you in the grocery workers union? Fake unions that give you no benefits and just charge you every month. Were you in the grocery workers union? I didn't know they had that, but they do. Did you know the grocers had a union?
I did. My brother was in one of those, and ever since then he has said that they're terrible.
That's all good, Ghost. I'm sorry I asked anyway. I shouldn't have asked.
Yeah.
You're a welder, UAW, so you're probably making $80 an hour. No, you're not. I'm sorry. I was thinking welder, like, anyway. Basically, a union that helps the company get jobs that require a union. I got you. Yeah. And see, that's some bullshit too, where you have, union required jobs. And I actually missed out on a couple of contract jobs through when I had the mechanic shop. We had corporate accounts, right? Where like, we did a bunch of work with, who was it? Moving companies, local delivery companies that own, like had a fleet of 10 vans or something. They didn't have a staff mechanic or didn't want to keep a staff mechanic other than just a guy to change oil. So we would have these corporate accounts, and some of the better corporate accounts were with like the sheriff's department and things like that. But you couldn't get them unless you were union. It had to be union. Like, I don't know of any union and that's, it was some jackass got that done. Mike Ball. I worked for the IBU, Inland Boatmen's Union. Wow. In Southern California for 10 years. I was a captain and tankerman, PIC there in LA Long Beach. Nice, man. Nice. Actually, a friend of mine's wife used to be a captain of I guess a coastal freighter that ran from like LA to San Francisco. I thought that was interesting that his wife was a ship's captain. Thought it was very funny. $240 a month, and then they tax you on that strike. Ooh, that's rough, man. It was way more complex down there. ILWU is the strongest union in the world. Okay. That's interesting. It's interesting that I play this clip and I get all these union guys floating to the top. Very interesting. It wasn't a clip, it was a video. What do you guys think of the way that this union leader is leading his union? So ILWU, yeah, I understood longshoreman unions big time. What do you think of that? What the ILA is doing? What do you think about that? The Briar Wolf. You did core sampling. That's cool. I like that. What do you got? What do you guys think about this that I showed you? What do you all you union guys out there? What do you think about it? Josie, I dropped you the link. Where you at? You wanted to say something. Where you at?
I PM'd her on Discord and sent her the link as well.
Yeah, a loop. You moved to Alabama. Okay. I'm sorry, dude. Sorry to hear about your leg. I'm just asking for your opinion of. I mean, I don't know if you watched the video, but I'm curious what you guys think about it. Mr. Mister says, I think it's convenient it's happening right now. No, come on. They're probably intentionally put into a situation to influence their decision. Yeah, that's probably true. I think it is very convenient, actually. That's a very good statement, sir. Very, very good.
I am definitely out of my element here. I'm a political dude.
I think I think you guys absolutely do watch my channel. I would if I were in a union, I would 100%.
It's nice to see that there's so many like diverse, people that are working. Like, I wouldn't have thought so many.
I would pay so much attention if I were in a union. I would pay so much attention to politics, right? Oh, okay, Mike Ball. I'll play it. I'll hang on. Give me 1 sec. I'll pull it back up. I got it. I got it right here. I say I do. I don't know if I do. No, I may have. I'm gonna play you this part of it. Let me let me grab this. Hold on.
There's no sound coming through.
Oh, no sound? Oh, wait, hang on. Yeah, I always got to click this. I always forget to click it.
The beginning was the end of it, but I want to give you his full statement here.
But today's world, it's changing into the future. They're not making millions no more. They're making billions, and they're spending it fast as they make it. I want a piece of that for my men, because when they made their most money was during COVID. When my men had to go to work on those piers every single day, when everybody stayed home and went to work. Not my men. They died out there with the virus. We all got sick with the virus. We kept them going. From Canada to Maine to Texas, Great Lakes, Puerto Rico, now the Bahamas, everybody went to work during COVID. Nobody stayed home. Well, I want to be compensated for that. I'm not asking for the world. They know what I want. They know what I want. And if they don't, well, then I have to go into the street and we have to fight for what we rightfully deserve. These people today don't know what a strike is.
Right.
When my men hit the streets from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week,
I do like that, Briar
guys
Wolf.
who
I do
sell
like
cars
that he says my
can't sell
man.
cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers, get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel is not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the companies money to pay their salaries. Well, it went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. In today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means. Nobody does.
Okay.
What do you think about that, Mike?
The part that I didn't like was the whole COVID thing. It's like everybody got COVID.
I didn't.
Well, okay, most people got. I got it twice. Whatever, it was a joke. I'm somewhat young, but it's just like, okay, so you went and got COVID. It's like you're using that as an excuse. I get it though.
There were a lot of people that still went to work.
His point was that people were making tons of money on doing that, and he wants his piece of the puzzle, or sorry, his piece of the
well,
pie.
they always that's a pretty standard rhetoric. Again, this is not about COVID. This isn't about this is about the ports are modernizing. This is simple math. Okay. As part of the union, they got to pay out the guys who paid in all those years. It's just part of it. And, there's going to be less and less hires. There's going to be less and less, they're not going to hire in guys to replace guys that retire out or age out or whatever. They're not going to be hiring guys. So there's 70,000 people today. Maybe in 2 years, there's 50,000 people because they modernize, they put in automation. They got automated, what do they call those things? Container handlers. They've got automated cranes. They don't need crane guys. They don't need, as the ports modernize more and more, they need less and less people to manage it. That's less and less money coming into the union itself, and the union has an obligation to the people that paid in all those years. So, and what they're looking at is where Mike Ball was. They're looking at what happened on the West Coast, and they're looking at that and they're saying, you know what? We're not going to. We don't want to go that way. We want this up front, right? And on one side, I sympathize with it, right? Like it's the same. The auto workers union had the same thing when they started using robots on the line. That they I don't know if they actually went on strike, but they threatened to strike, right? Because they wanted they were afraid they're just going to hire less people. They need less people, but it just changes what the jobs are. Right. Instead of a crane man, now you become a robot repair guy, right? Or a programmer or something like that. This was the same scare they had when cranes first came out for the ships. Automation has been running down in the port of Long Beach for the past 10 years. Yeah. And that's what they're looking at, Mike. They're looking at what happened there and then the smaller and smaller numbers of required personnel. And they're just not hiring in people. And that reduces the amount of money the union comes in. That not just from what the employees pay in, but what the companies pay into the union as well. So I get it. I understand it. I don't necessarily agree or disagree with it. It just is what it is to me. And I think that we're going to we're going to see what happens one way or the other. I think this guy's serious. I think he'll strike. I think he's old school strike guy. I think he will He'll literally he'll go down there and he'll put chains on the gates and all of that. So that's what it's going to be. Yeah, Mike Ball says you can't just drive around in a UTR and get paid $150K like they did forever. You need to keep evolving as well as an employee. True. Ghost, you're right, man. Automation shouldn't be surprising anyone anymore. You just got to adapt, right? Go see a doctor. I have actually, but it's I don't actually have anything wrong with me currently. It's just it takes a while for the cough to go away. I don't know why. They said about 2 weeks. So that was a week ago. So I think I have a week left. But thank you for your concern, Lauren. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think that I think it's I don't know. I think I think the timing is very interesting. Um, and I think he was very honest. He wants, he's right. He is absolutely right that the shipping companies have been making tons of money because of the ships, the way that they're having to do the trade routes now because of the Houthi rebels and them shooting at ships and that sort of thing. They're making a ton of money coming into the East Coast, and the longshoremen want a piece of it. You won Verbal Combat last night? I could have won. Oh, I won because I didn't play. That's fine. Well, so the thing is that I really enjoy Verbal Combat. The problem is it takes so long. I got to go to bed.
It goes until 2:30 a.m. CST.
I know. Dude, I'm in bed. I was in bed.
If you're gonna go late, just start at like 2 hours earlier and then end 2 hours earlier.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but then the guys in California can't be there.
Well, you can always show up late. You don't have to be there at the start. You can win and show up in the last hour. I mean, it's not a big deal.
I think Mike Ball and Ghost really get it. Yeah. I went on for like 30 minutes and it was so once Wally and Righteous Muffin went at it twice, it was like 10 minutes or 15 minutes just for those two. I was like, I'm out. This is gonna suck. So I just didn't see it moving forward very quickly. So
sometimes the topics are not the greatest too, and you'll get like pretty much everyone there is not everyone, but most people have the same thoughts on a lot of topics, and there's not a lot of liberals that go there. So, and when they do, they get annihilated. So yeah, I don't watch it all the time. I just catch it here and there.
Yeah. Let's see. Companies only go for automation when automation, operation, and upkeep will be cheaper than manual labor over the life of the machine. I'm going to push back on that. Because it's not so much the manual labor is cheaper than the machine. It's that the risk of injury or having to pay out large lawsuits because of carelessness or something like that goes way down. Like, for example, if I have a machine that can accurately move a container around and there's no risk to a human, versus having to have humans climb on top of it, chain it down, move around it in the weather and all of that, where somebody could slip, fall, break a leg, tear an arm up, whatever. The machines, will always win. Even if the machine is super expensive, the risk of that lawsuit is enough for a lot of companies to to modernize. Now, a lot of companies won't, because if you just look at it on paper, the hourly wage and vacation pay and all of that, is probably far less than the cost of the machine. But it's that inherent risk, man. Like it's like having a robot welder versus an actual welder. Right?
Wouldn't your insurance go down on like dramatically? Not to mention your
yeah. You're in. I mean, across the board, unfortunately, the reality is that in our litigious society today, you can't deny that for a company, there's no upside to hiring a human being if you can get a machine that can do the exact same job. Even if the machine is slower, even if the machine requires adjustment by a human often, that's not going to matter. The fact that machine can do it with less risk trumps everything. It just does. Because one lawsuit could be $1 million, right? And take years in court.
I've dealt with OSHA a fair bit. I bet all their OSHA sheet would go down to they would just. There's so much inherent savings there that people aren't thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Mike Ball, the first fully automated terminal in Long Beach cost the company $12 billion just to automate 1 out of 400 terminals. Wow, that's a lot. But I bet they're making money on it. Yep. All right. It's 5 o'clock. I'm going to go shower and get ready for the evening. Is there anybody on that I can send you guys to? You guys have been great. This is for a chill stream. This has been awesome.
Sorry, man. I'm a political dude. I don't know anything.
I love talking politics, man. I got everything I needed to get done. I've got my thumbnails are done. I've got my outline done. I got everything I need to get done.
Politics is my jam. I don't know anything about unions, so I was just here for the ride on that part.
Yeah, that's all right. Where are you leaning at on I'm in no hurry to get rid of you guys either. So where are you leaning on the midterms? What do you think it's going to look like? And do you think we need to get rid of the current speaker, McConnell?
You mean the 2026 midterms?
Yeah. Where do you think we're going to end up there?
Usually it depends on who wins, right? If Trump wins, usually the midterms are bad for the incumbent. Not always, but usually that's how it goes. So I would expect that we would probably let's just say by some miracle that we win the House, the Senate, and the presidency. I think we would lose probably the House. As far what was the second question you asked?
I'm just curious how you thought they would go going into regardless of who wins. And what do you think about McConnell as speaker?
McConnell is the Senate guy. He's not the House guy.
I'm sorry. Who am I thinking about? The current guy I guess it is the guy that needs to be replaced.
His name is Mike Johnson.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know. He's kind of he's all right, but he's the kind of guy that would pass or he would put things on the like Ukraine bills and shit, I bet, and sign that crap. I don't know. I'm not down with that. So for me, I would prefer someone better. There's some people in the Freedom Caucus that would make much better House speakers, in my opinion.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. What do you think about all right, I'm going to just kind of off the political spectrum. What do you think about this deal with P. Diddy and what's coming out with Usher and Justin Bieber and all of these other people in the industry, along with just kind of it's all coming kind of like cream to the surface, right? It's all like all the bad stuff is coming up.
I think it's like a ball of yarn that's about to be unraveled. And
okay. That's it, man. That's a good analogy. That's a good analogy.
It's going to get worse. And I think this has been coming for a long time. And we're going to see. I don't want to compare it to the Me Too movement, but I don't think it's going to be as big as that. Maybe it will be. Who knows? But, it could be something along those lines. And yeah, it's going to be big. I think P. Diddy is fucked, whether or not he gets killed or either way. I mean, that guy's going to go to jail for a very long time.
Do you think he was ratted out, or do you think that it all came down to it ended up all coming down to he just got too out of control. It was too over the top, and people could, it just couldn't be hidden anymore.
I think he became arrogant. I mean, there was a lot of videos that came out of him doing stuff, and if he would have kept it more on the down low and didn't do some of the more overt stuff that he was doing, I think he could have hid it for longer. Whether or not the feds knew about this all along or were, waiting for their time, or they were, there's so many conspiracy theories. I don't know enough about it to tell you a definitive answer, but either way, P. Diddy's fucked. The rest of the people, I guess we'll find out. But like I said, I think it'll get worse before it gets better. And these people deserve it. I mean, there's so much shady shit going on, and people are comparing this to Epstein and stuff like that. I just want that list to come out. I want all of these lists to come out. The one thing that Trump said, and that I hope he does, is release the JFK files, releases the Epstein files. I mean, all this crap needs to come out. Some people say that Trump is on the list, and Trump said he's not on the list. I mean, if he releases the list,
which list is that?
The Epstein list.
Oh, we know he's not on the Epstein list.
Yeah, so I know, but there's a moron saying that he is. And I'm like, why would, it's just.
All right, look, Trump did not release the Epstein list. Biden did. If Trump's name was on that list, Biden would have made absolutely 100% sure that it was released.
Good point.
There's just no damn way it wouldn't have come out.
I think he needs to just unredact everything and release it.
The problem is Clinton's name is on that list. We guaranteed 100%,
which is good.
And they can't, and who knows? And Biden's name may be on that list. They can't. The fact that it's not redacted means that there's a ton of high-level Democrats that are still in office that are on that list. That's why that list is redacted. That's the only reason that list is redacted, right? There's no other reason, right? It's executives like that. The guy from Disney, Mike, fuck his name is, doesn't matter. The guy from Disney's name's probably on the list. I mean, he looks like a deviant. There's all of these people that are out there they're probably on the list. And that's why, because let me tell you, if Trump's name was on that list, it would have been 100%. It would have been released 100%.
Don't you think a good revenge for what the Democrats have done to him would be to release that list and really just fuck all these people?
Well, I think that, I think two things here. First of all, Trump walks the line between his corporate self, which means that he believes in secrecy. He believes in limited information available, period. Right? Because that's just a corporate thing, right? Like we do not, corporately, corporations have massive amounts of secrets that nobody ever gets to know. And his brain functions that way. So on the one hand, I think that he's innately, he doesn't want to release anything. But I think politically and as a human, he wants to release it. So I think he's at a war with himself, if that makes sense. Because I really do believe that he wants to or if he was put in a position, he would 100% release it. I just don't think it comes. It wouldn't be his first thought would be to release it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like the JFK list, I mean, everyone's dead, so I don't
thought
see
that
any
was already
reason.
released. Actually, I thought that had already been declassified.
It is, but there's like 2% of it that's redacted, and that's the 2% that we need.
I see. Yeah, I hadn't looked at it specifically. I was, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know that I care enough, so I probably just didn't look. I probably just didn't pay any attention to it. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, it's just one of the like biggest conspiracy theories ever.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Besides the moon landing, I mean, those two are, in my opinion, some of the biggest conspiracies that we've ever done. So, do you think we landed on the moon? I'm just curious.
Do I think we landed on the moon?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any reason to disbelieve it. I do think it's easy. I do think it's interesting that we haven't been back, and I just find that really interesting.
There's a radiation belt that you have to get through to basically it surrounds the Earth. Once you go past a certain point, and we currently don't possess the technology to get through there, so we can't go to the moon right now. We supposedly had the technology, but it got lost by NASA, and that alone is kind of just kind of weird, you know. They like to lose a lot of stuff.
I don't know about that. I think that I think it's interesting that first of all, I do believe that we're overcomplicating things that we did back in the 60s with relative ease, and for some reason we consistently make it harder on ourselves. And I don't know, man.
They lost all the data on it. It's like there's so many like holes in the story.
Yeah, but I mean that I actually believe. I mean, you're talking about like, you know, magnetic tape from back in the fucking 50s and 60s, man. Like that's
you have a good point.
That's way easier for me to believe than some of the other stuff. I find it interesting. I guess what I find interesting, because I kind of grew up in that age, right? I grew up, you know, the space shuttles and all of that, and we were kind of moving in that direction again with the space shuttles, and then the space shuttle blew up, right? And I actually was home from school that day. I remember watching it live on TV, and ever since then, it seems like all of it changed. Like at that moment, right? Like it all changed. And you know, I don't know. It's just really interesting to me. I mean, it's interesting, but it's not interesting. I guess I just don't care anymore.
Once Columbia blew up, I think we just gave up on all space travel.
Well, I think the nation lost its taste for it, right? The thing about the space shuttle exploding was that it wasn't like it was just a bunch of astronauts that were, you know, military guys that knew the risk and took them, and it's just like it's like nobody cares about a fighter pilot dying in a fighter plane, right? Nobody cares about a spaceman, about a trained fighter pilot spaceman guy dying in a spacecraft. And I say don't care. I mean, it's just normal, right?
It's the civilians.
It's something. It's what's going to happen. But when they put that teacher up there and she blew to pieces, that was the end of it publicly. Right?
Yeah.
And just the way it is. Just the way it is.
I mean, Elon Musk has done more for space travel than NASA has in the last 20 years.
Right. Well, NASA's budget is public, and it's just not going to get it.
Yeah.
Again, I think we've overwhelmingly lost our taste for it.
I remember JFK's speech when he's like, "We will land on the moon on this decade."
Yeah.
And I'm 38, so I wasn't alive during that point.
The
but
thing
I've
about
seen
JFK is
videos.
JFK knew that we needed a national goal that didn't involve war.
Yeah.
And he gave us one. The problem is that, and we were on that arc again, and then the space shuttle exploded, and we lost our taste for it. Right.
I think both explosions, both of them were just. I mean, one you saw like it was on TV. It's just.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very chilling moment when you see the whole thing just blow to pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. Just kind of, changing subjects. What do you think about the Hezbollah leader being terminated this morning?
Was it confirmed that he's actually dead?
So Israel's determined that he is dead. Hezbollah has confirmed it. And I believe somebody in that area outside of Beirut has also independently confirmed it.
Okay, yeah, and then I heard like 2 of his top commanders died too. I mean, Hezbollah.
They're admitting 2, but it was a command complex, so we don't actually know how many were in there.
Yeah,
but they're admitting to 2. Yeah.
I mean, what do I think about it? I mean, I think they were fucking terrible people and they deserve to die.
Yeah, absolutely.
What
do you think about this? What do you think this does for the war? What do you think this does for Hezbollah going forward?
I was expecting more of a retaliation from them because they've been blowing up some strategic points before this. And then I know the UN was kind of rebuking Netanyahu, and he said, "Fuck this, I'm flying down there." And he gave this fiery speech. And then the same day, they had the missiles come down and blow up all those bunkers. So I think that was a statement to the world, like, hey, we know what we're doing, and we've been hunting this guy for. I mean, he's been Hezbollah's leader for a long time. We're talking like 20, 30 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Him and Iran, they're very close. And I have low opinion of Iran too. If they got wiped off the map, besides the civilians, if the leaders got wiped off the map tomorrow, I might throw a party. Generally, I don't believe in the whole democracy in the Middle East. I think that thing is bullshit. And
I don't think we'll ever get democracy there.
I'm not a fan of wars, so the less that we're involved with this, the better. I don't want to give money to any war, really.
Right.
So if they can figure it out on their own, and they can, I think Hezbollah is fucked. I think they're going through some hard times.
Yeah. Let me throw this out there. I think Israel has said fuck it, and they're going after everybody. Like, they're tired of it. Like, and the fact that the US isn't really backing them is actually pushing them harder to go after literally everybody in the region. I think they're sending a message right now to the entire region that, you know what, we put up with your crap for the last 40 fucking years, and we're done. Like, hell with it. I think, and I actually think that the US, by not really helping Israel as we have in the past, to the level that we have in the past, has actually caused Israel to dig in and take a firm stand and just say, if you're against us, you're against us, and we're going to wipe you off the planet. I think that's where they're at. I really do. I think that they, all of these little skirmishes and all of these little conflicts over the years have led up to this, where they're finally like they had to either shit or get off the pot. And I think if the U.S. had helped them, if we had been like we normally are, like, oh, go Israel, oh yeah, go. If we had done that, I think that they would have just would have been another like 2-week deal, and then everybody, we would have negotiated a peace treaty and or some kind of ceasefire, and then it would have gone back, and 6 months later we'd be doing this shit again. I think that hindsight being 2020, all of the anti-Israel stuff, all of the anti everything has pushed Israel to shit or get off the pot. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think they're pissed, and this is the.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally his legacy. I mean, when he's done as president, he will be known for doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees that this is the moment, and I think this, like, killing him was a huge play. I mean, like I said, they've been hunting this guy for a very long time. And I think the U.S. is kind of happy he's dead too. I mean,
yeah, I mean, and they're doing our dirty work, right?
yeah.
They're literally doing our dirty work. So,
I mean, if they march into Iran and do the same thing and they kill the Ayatollah, I think that would be fantastic.
I mean, I'm not
for assassinations normally. In fact,
I think they would march. And this is the thing. So somebody was saying that Israel's going to invade Iran, and I don't think they can. I don't think they have the manpower to do so. But they certainly have the missiles to turn specific areas into parking lots. And I got to be honest with you. I think it's going to be really good. I think this is what needed to happen. I think again, I think that if we had done what we normally do and said, we got this, Israel, we got your back, bro. We there for you. If we had done that, which is what we normally do. I mean, let's just be honest, right? Like, that's what normally happens is the Israelis, start kicking somebody's ass, and Daddy USA comes in and says, look, boys, look, you over there, we're going to negotiate this, and then, whatever. I think by staying out of it this time, we actually probably did the right thing.
I think the hostages are fucked, personally. I know they killed
I think that's the other thing. I think Israel knows the hostages are dead, or they're going to be killed. So I think they're just like weapons free right now. Like, they are just in total, we're going to fuck people up mode.
If they get the right intel on Iran, and if the U.S. can maybe help them get the right intel,
yeah,
and they can, as you said, turn some buildings into parking lots, I think more power to them. Honestly, they're doing us a major favor. Iran is top 3 for me most hated countries. They are the largest state sponsor of terror. So if they can wipe some of them out of here, I think that would be a fantastic thing. Yeah, I think you're right, though. I don't think a ground invasion would be smart. But the missiles, I mean, if they can throw them in there. And
well, here's the thing is that you have other people that don't like Iran in the area, right? And Iraq. So, if Israel starts reducing the combat effectiveness of Iran, right? Iran's a big kid on the block. They've got all the hardware. They've got a lot of fighters. They got a lot of technology. If Israel starts turning, equipment into smoking piles of metal, then that reduces that effectiveness. And that means that the other people that are not necessarily pro-Israel, but are anti-Iraq and Iran, and pro-peace, could come in there and get rid of that, right? Get rid of the troublemakers. I don't believe that. Honestly, I don't believe that Israel is thinking this far ahead. I think that they're just going out there to literally pummel their enemy into the dirt. But I think that it helps the entire region.
Yeah, there's still some targets left with Hezbollah, but I'd say like in a few weeks to a month, I would not be surprised if Israel turned to Iran. And it would be nice if some people in the region saw that as an opportunity and started to help. Like I said,
I agree with Angel Berber here. Saudi Arabia is the next enemy of Iran over theocratical issues. And the Saudis have never really wanted to challenge Iran, Iraq because of the power of the clerics, right? And look, the Saudis aren't stupid. They don't want suicide bombers in the streets of Dubai. That's dumb. So they've always kind of walked this razor's edge of paying attention to the clerics and Ayatollah and all of that. If Israel removes that, this could be a bit. I mean, there are big implications here. Now I'm looking far down the road, and things have to, it's like dominoes have to fall a certain way. But the percentage of new Iranian immigrants are likely. Yeah, I honestly don't see any problems, John, or Joe, pardon me. I don't see the problem. I think that we have problems now. I think that we have an enemy that is a known stronghold of people who are dedicated to causing problems for the civilized world, and those people need to go away. And I'm unfortunately not someone that believes they can be re-educated or trained or whatever the fuck you want to call it. So yeah,
I do wonder what they did with all the billions Biden gave them.
They bought Lamborghinis and Ferraris. What do you think they did?
Well, shit, we shouldn't blow it up then.
Have you guys not seen the video of like the F-40 that's like in a ditch? And it was just abandoned there by one of the what's his name? The guy from Kuwait, Saddam Hussein. One of Saddam Hussein's son just left this F-40 in a ditch. It's like a $2 million car. Just left it there. So
yeah, well, I don't know. I think Iraq was a absolutely terrible thing, but yeah, we are definitely not the main sponsor of terrorism. That's bullshit.
Yeah, well, I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to disagree with that a lot. And actually, I think that the biggest thing that we've done lately is that we've drawn back so much that we kind of have emboldened some bad actors. And I don't know, man. I'm okay with what the Israelis are doing. I don't have a problem with it. Mainly because they're not doing anything on my side of the sidewalk. So, it's like when you look across the street and there's a dog shitting on your neighbor's yard, you don't really care because it's not your yard. And that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, if we can avoid any wars and they can do all that shit, more power to them. Yeah,
why wouldn't we, right? Like it's kind of them being a surrogate for us, but I'm okay with that.
I mean, Saudi Arabia is like pretty close with us, especially if Trump gets elected. I
think that's the best possible outcome, Angel Berber. If Iran falls, Saudi Arabia could step into Iran and Iraq. Remember now, if Iran falls, Iraq's not stable. I mean, they're pretty stable. They're not that stable. So you could, in theory, have Saudi, the emirate would spread, right? And a case could be made that Israel could be predicating the next caliphate, right?
If they go into Iraq, maybe we can get our equipment back.
No, it's all used.
That we left there.
It's all used. We don't want that stuff anymore.
They don't even know how to use it.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't. We don't want that stuff back.
That was the biggest gift from Biden of all time.
The gift that keeps on giving.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. It was funny though. It really was.
You know, it wasn't funny when all the corpses came back of the people who died there, and Biden was there, and he looked at his watch.
Oh, dude, that pissed me off so bad.
That made me want
Hey,
to.
it's Joe Mobley.
Yeah, that pissed me off. I'm like, you motherfucker, disrespecting people who died, and you're the reason why you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just think that I'm okay with the Israelis doing our dirty work.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. I am perfectly happy with it, right? And while I do not understand all of the politics and intricacies of that region, my understanding is that Saudi operates in a very different way than everybody else. So.
Yeah, we have 800 military bases, and every time we destroy something, we build it back up. You know.
Yeah, we have 800 military bases worldwide, largely because of World War II, and we promised that we would have them, and we shouldn't really have them. So
we're like the only country in the world that will blow up shit and then come back later to rebuild it. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. I dropped the link. Pardon me. I dropped the link, Joe. So if you want to come up. If not, if you can't, because you're on dad duty or something, that's fine. I'm actually kind of getting ready to wind down. I need to go take a shower and stuff for tonight. But all that kind of good stuff.
I have a question for you.
Sure, man.
If Trump gets into office, I know he said he can end the war in Ukraine with a phone call, and I think he's being a little hyperbolic there. How long do you think it will actually take? And do you think
a phone call? It'll
take
a phone call, because what he'll do is he'll call up and he's going to tell he's going to tell Zelensky that either he ends the war and steps down, or he's going to be categorized as the dictator he is, and all support will dry up. Because understand the war that we've been lied to about the war in Ukraine so much that we've started fucking believing that stupid ass shit. Zelensky's an actor that was installed by Obama and Biden.
Yeah, I mean, the CIA's been involved with that since I think like 2014. They ousted the other leader, right?
Right. Yeah, the legally elected leader was deposed in a coup, right?
Yeah.
And Zelensky has since, of course, we kind of omitted that when he came, when we sold this whole war to the United States citizen, we omitted that fact. So, but quite simply, Zelensky came to power in a coup. Since then, when he agreed that they would do legal elections, he has prohibited legal elections. He's a criminal by all definitions. He's a criminal. On the other side of the fence, we have Russia, where Putin was legally elected, 85% of the vote. He has forestalled elections because of the war, but that's not unusual. I'm really pissed at Biden that I have to say that Putin is the better guy than Zelensky. Do you understand how fucked up that is? Do you understand how fucked up it is to have to say that Putin, who's a KGB guy, right now, obviously, I actually don't have that big a problem with Putin because he's a KGB guy. I can understand he's a KGB guy. I know what to expect out of Putin. He'll be honest, but just because he's honest doesn't mean he's telling you everything, right? And he's absolutely fucking ruthless. If you fuck with him, he will kill you. Like, he has no qualms. That dude will literally poison your fucking tea sitting at the table with you, right? Just be honest about this.
That Tucker interview was pretty good.
Yeah, the Tucker interview was really good, and I never liked the idea of the Ukrainian war and our support of it to begin with. It was wrong, but everybody's like, I stand with Ukraine. I'm like, yo, so you stand with criminals? We're standing with fucking criminals now. That's what we're doing. Charles Darwin, I don't know you, so you're gonna have to cam up so I know that you're a real person and you're not a bot or you're not gonna porn bomb me or something. So, if you don't mind, sir.
I never supported $1 going to Ukraine.
Right. Mr. Darwin, sir. I see you down there.
With the amount of money we have spent, we could have done fucking anything better. Anything.
Sure. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I just dislike the idea. I dislike the idea of having to say out loud that there's no difference between Zelensky and Putin, except Putin at least got legally elected. Right.
Not to mention,
he is the ruler of this country.
They violated a lot of the NATO stuff, the Minsk Accords and all that.
Yeah. Now there was a guy who used to know Cam. Is there anybody here that can vouch for you? Does anybody know you? I'm sorry, man. It's just, it's the way it is, man. I'm sorry. Too many bad actors out there, brother. Trump met with Zelensky a day ago. He is already setting the terms of what the deal is going to be. Right. Yeah. Because either he's not going to get a deal or he's going to be out. You know what I'm saying? I'll let you up for a couple of minutes, Charles. If you cause me any problems, I'll dump you just as quick as quicker than you've ever seen. So, all right. My finger's on the trigger. Trust me. Welcome, Charles. Mr. Darwin.
Hi, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just reading chat, and yeah, I do apologize. I don't have a cam.
It's okay. Just don't porn bomb me or do anything silly like that.
No. But look,
I did my finger on the trigger though, so if you
no, look, that's all right, mate. I totally understand. All right. But back to Zelensky.
Sure.
With what happened back in 2014, there was a election in the Ukraine, and suddenly, oh no, the Democratic leaders and people were told, no, you don't have a job anymore. Bugger off. Now, I don't know if this is fact or fiction, but apparently the CIA was part of why Zelensky became the president. Before that,
Zelensky, you never know, right?
Yeah. Zelensky, before that, his entire resume was he used to go and play piano with his penis. Like, literally, he was a comedian of some sort. That's who he was. And now he's like, oh, look at me, I'm in charge because someone somewhere made it happen. I don't know how things are going to go and work over the next few years. One of the reasons that NATO, the US, and other allies are not giving the Ukraine the weapons that they want is because they are worried that, well, it could just be a bit of a deep fake type thing of like, oh yeah, we're your friend. Oh, sorry, we're taking your weapons and we're going to use them against you. Which I don't know if that's going to go and actually happen, but what we do know is that currently NATO allies, the EU, US interests are all working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to go and make bombs, bullets, and other things because they cannot keep up with what they are expending in the Ukraine. In the meantime, Russia is sitting there going, well, we're taking all this, Soviet bloc type garbage and criminals and other people, and we're just throwing them at the Ukrainians. We don't care. Oh, look, are you in prison? Cool. You can stay in the fucking cell, or you can go along and go to the Ukraine front. And they're not really worried that much. The worst thing that's going to happen over the next, say, 6 to 12 months, the US and NATO allies have just given Ukraine F-16s. F-16s are a platform that can use nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And they're also very, very unhappy about the drones.
Mm-hmm.
And they've said, here's the line. If you cross that line, we will absolutely fucking drop bombs on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a bit of concern for everyone, because once that line is crossed, you cannot go, oh no, we were just joking, haha. No.
Yeah.
It's so yeah. So sorry if I ran it a bit.
I want to address this thing from Smokey Guru really quick. He just doesn't believe that I believe Zelensky is worse than Putin. Zelensky's 100% worse than Putin. Putin literally said, do not cross this line. If you cross this line, we're going to go to war. And what did Zelensky do? Knowing that it was going to cost him lives, that he was going to go to war with Russia, he crossed the line. He did not. There was no diplomacy involved. There was no, all right, yeah, okay. They sat down at a table, or he had people sitting down with Putin a few times, and Putin was very adamant that the whole reason he fought the Crimean War which was what, 8 days or 30 days, something like that. The whole reason he did that was because he knows that Russia cannot lose its access to the warm water, deep water ports. Zelensky knew that, and Zelensky asserted that those ports belong to Ukraine based on some historical deal. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's wrong. I don't know. That's a that's an argument for diplomats.
No, look, that's a really important thing to look at, because quite simply, Russia wants that access, right?
Mm-hmm. They have
the bridge that we keep hearing about getting bombed and blown up and all the rest of it, they need that as well. Here's the thing. If you try and take a country's access away from a place that they need to go to, you are going to have an issue. You're going to have a very big issue. What really annoys me about the whole thing is that I think it was, what was his name? The British Prime Minister back in the day, Boris Johnson and I think it was, I forget the other guy's name, but they actually they nixed Zelensky had a possible, let's say, we agree that, okay, you can have this, and if you stop attacking there, and we'll just go along and we'll all be like, cuddles and kisses and stuff afterwards. We won't be happy about it, but okay, this is what's going to happen. Boris Johnson and this other leader turned around and went, no, you can't have any sort of you just can't. Simple as that. So the war kept going and going and going, and now it's getting to a point where it's going to get really bad for Europe, and if things go badly there, we don't really know what's going to happen elsewhere. But I can tell you right now that China at the moment is sitting there going, you know what, if the US has lost all this manpower, equipment, bombs, bullets, etc., what's to stop us from going and saying, you know what, we want Taiwan back? Because the US can't have two fronts at the same time.
We don't have
Right.
a front right now. We don't have any. We don't have any soldiers in active combat right now, which is weird. We have people stationed in places, but we're not taking part in Ukraine or anything like that. So that's good. I kind of want to address a couple of things about the Ukrainian war that I think are not well understood. First, Zelensky had no right legally to access to prevent access to the deep water ports. He had the ability to use it. Russia had the ability to use it. Everybody was using the deep water port. I forget which one it is. It's not Sevastopol. It's something else. Anyway, whatever it is. Putin was very clear. If you cross this line, if you try and prevent us from our, and it wasn't just that they were preventing them from, it wasn't like they put up a barrier. It's that they not only put up the barrier, but they were charging the Russians to use the port, which was unacceptable to Putin. Now, Putin's not a guy that you fuck around with. Let's just be honest about it.
Oh, absolutely agree. Totally agree.
Whatever he says he's going to do, he's going to do that thing. And so this didn't come to a head when Trump was in office, because Putin respected Trump, and Trump sorted that out. He's like, look, you stay here. Everybody works out. No taxes, no tariffs, none of that. Just you guys work together. And we understand that Ukraine has a heretical claim to that port. They don't have they didn't have an actual legal claim per se to the port. Russia thought they had a claim to it, that this was something for diplomats to work out. They didn't do it. They just didn't do it. Zelensky pushed the envelope. Russia went to war. That's what Russia does. Now, going forward of that could have actually just been like a minor skirmish and done. Instead, we have a call to action here in the U.S. to stand with the Ukraine, who are literally led by a criminal, right? He came to power in a coup. Normally, the U.S. are the ones that take the people who come to power in coups out. We usually kill those people. Just saying. That's what we do.
That's fair. Totally fair.
But in this case, we're backing this guy. We've backed him to the tune of $250 billion, $175 billion in actual cash or cash equivalent, and the rest in military hardware. Now, that's a lot. That's a lot, folks. And there's no reason for this. We should not be involved at all. It's their damn port, and we don't need it. We could give a fuck less. So no. I don't care if it's Ukrainian port or a Russian port. It doesn't change anything to us. The only reason we got involved, the only reason we got involved is because Biden and Zelensky and Barama. Right? Or wasn't it Barama? Is that the right word spelling? The oil and mineral company his son was colluding with, and Burisma. Thank you. Yep. Burisma. So you guys can sit there, anybody can sit there and whack their pud and think that they're doing a great thing in Ukraine, but the reality is you've been played. You're fucking been played. Okay? You're all been played for $255 billion, and the big guy got his 10%. Do you not understand?
No,
Do you not understand it? If you're this fucking stupid, don't vote. Because unless you vote for Trump, the only vote that you can make is for Trump. Don't vote for anybody else. Because if you're this stupid and you don't understand this, please God, don't vote for Kamala. Because
I totally understand where you come from, man. Unfortunately, look, I live in Australia where it's compulsory to go and vote, and I absolutely understand what you're saying about if you're too fucking stupid to go and do the right thing, or at least think that you're doing the right thing, stay home, take a nap, do whatever. But the question that I have, though, is that you've got Biden's
Yeah.
junkie son who somehow, with no ability whatsoever, became on the board of Burisma. Like, literally, his job is to go and, I don't know, smoke crack and fuck whores. That's all he does. He's got no education. He's got no ability. It's just like, oh, I'm a Biden, so yeah, now I'm on the board of a energy company
Yeah.
in the Ukraine, and I'm being paid this crazy amount of money for
Mhm.
what?
Well, we
Literally,
have the recordings of him
Ha- ha-
saying,
ha-
10% goes to the big guy. and
He,
Yep.
you have Biden on the same phone call.
he is a lawyer. I will say that, and I'm not defending the guy at all. He's a piece of shit. I'm just saying.
I got you. A lot of Russians hate Putin for being a murderous dictatorship. That's incorrect. 85% of Russians voted for Putin in the last election. He has suspended elections during the war. I'm not sure how long, but I'm not going to defend him on that. He probably should not have suspended the election process during the war. But he was legally elected with 85% of the vote. I mean, that's better than
I will say this, all right? Right now, Russia has an issue with Ukraine.
I'm not a spy, but if I was, you would know.
We understand that, but Russia is not just fighting the Ukraine; they're fighting pretty much the Western world. Okay, you've got fucking NATO, the EU, fucking even here in Australia, we fucking sent a bunch of crappy tanks to Zelensky. These were fucking M113s. They're literally like just garbage, fucking crap. But it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna go and show our support for Ukraine. Fucking why? I don't know. Apparently that's a thing. You've got the US who are now sending things. They're sending personnel, although they're not technically saying, oh yes, we've got personnel over there at the moment. Okay, no, they're just they're mercenaries. They're private contractors. Those guys. Russia is looking at that and going, okay, everything that we are doing right now is to deal with fucking NATO and the US. And if you remember back in the day, I think it was 1991, when the wall in Germany came down, and then, what's his name? The guy with the birthmark on his head turned around and said, okay, here's our plan. You can go and do what you want to go and do. We'll let Germany go and actually reunify literally as long as you do not move 1 inch east. That was it. He said that's our one concession there, that you can go and do whatever you want to go and do, but do not come closer to us. And since then, we've got all these countries going, oh yeah, I want to join NATO. Oh yeah, I want to do, EU, blah, 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 blah. And now it's on the fucking border of Russia. And Russia's going, you know what? Screw that. We told you.
That's a solid point. But I do believe that there have been negotiations each time that we've come closer, and Russia's been more or less okay with it. I don't.
Ukraine tried to join NATO, by the way.
Yeah,
that's one of the issues right now.
Putin did not want Ukraine to rejoin NATO join NATO because that puts NATO right on the border, and he had a legitimate case. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think he had a legitimate case. I don't think he would have won the case. I think he would have. But these are things that should be decided via diplomats and other channels, it really should not be that that people are out, that we end up in a war over it. But that's what happened.
Well,
And
that's
Zelensky was a really bad guy about doing that. You'll never convince. Nobody's ever going to convince me. And I see you guys in chat that just love Zelensky. Zelensky is a crook, a criminal. He came to power in a coup. He has literally suspended elections. We don't know who he's killed, so that's an interesting. I agree with you. I agree with you that there is some suspicion that Putin was involved in the elimination of his competitors, but unfortunately, we don't know that. We suspect that. We don't know that. I honestly, I suspect that Biden's name is on the Epstein Island list. I can't prove it, but I suspect it. So should we using that standard of evidence? That's how we should deal with Putin. No, we deal with Putin because he's the animal we know. We know he's ex-KGB. We know if he says X, he's going to do X regardless. That's what's going to happen, right? Like, this is a known guy, and he is a nationalist. The other thing is that the one thing about Putin, and I do not like, I really am annoyed that I have to say this shit about Putin because I really don't like him. I think he's a bad guy. But the one thing that you have to say, and you're, feel free to disagree with me, Calamity, you're a political guy, and Charles Darwin, you can disagree with me as well or comment. But the one thing you have to admit about Putin is he is a nationalist. He is 100% pro-Russia all the time, all day, every minute of the day. He does not give two fucks about any other country. He only cares about Russia. And
no, look,
that's a solid quality in a national leader. Biden doesn't give two fucks about the U.S., and we see what happened.
There's two things I want to say.
Go right ahead.
One, elections have consequences. The 2020 election, if Trump would have won, this war wouldn't have happened.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's point number one. Point number two, if you were the United States and Mexico was getting tons and tons and tons of shit supplied down there militarily, we would probably be pretty pissed.
Yes.
And we would probably take action. So just put yourself in Putin's shoes. And I don't like Putin. I'm just like Grid One. I can't believe I have to say this. I hate Putin. Zelensky is
I hate Putin.
But Zelensky is the biggest piece of shit. So
yeah. The bigger piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
They're both pieces of shit.
Just imagine though. Put yourself in Putin's shoes and all this crap is getting ushered in there. It's ridiculous.
I think, how do I say this? You have to understand the country that he is in charge of. All right. Now, I think that he's a very, very, very unpleasant person, and he does do things that normally you would not want to go and see happen. I mean, fuck. The guy's literally fucking ex-KGB or FSB, whatever it's fucking called these days.
Right.
He knows how to absolutely fuck shit up.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
he's a
the
killer.
country, exactly. The country is that he's in charge of. That seems to work. And what I sort of think about this is, look at what happened to other countries that had someone who was a really unpleasant person, and then that person was removed. And look at them now and how they were bad before, no question about it. Now they're a lot worse. If you look at Iraq right now, after Saddam, holy fuck, literally.
Right. Sure.
Really, really bad place.
100%.
So I don't know if it's a case that the people there respond to that level of intensity, and it keeps the country safe. albeit from what we understand a country should be like,
Yeah.
or whether or not it would be a much, much worse place if he was removed. And that is a very fucking scary thought because, as I understand it, his 2IC, he's already said, yep, we're going to fucking nuke shit. And he's really, really off the fucking rails. Like, he is,
Yeah.
the guy is fucking mental. Putin's there just going, you know what? I'm dealing with people. I don't like them. They don't like me. Understood. This is a war. Rah, rah, rah. But we haven't actually done anything to a point where we can't undo it. And the number of times that the red lines have been crossed by NATO and the Ukraine and the US is, I don't know if the guy has amazing patience or if he's just going, you know what, it's going to get to a point where it's all right, you've just gone one step too far, and now I'm going to take your fucking leg off and I'm going to bash you.
Yeah, I think
in the head
Putin's
with
a
it.
nationalist. I think Putin's a nationalist, and he doesn't want
Mm.
attacks on Russia.
He's
I
not
think he
dumb. Putin is not dumb. He does
Yeah, he's
not
not
want.
stupid.
He's not going to get the U.S. involved like with actual troops, and there's just so
Right.
much on the line there. It's just not worth it for
Yeah,
him.
that's very valid. He is look, the last thing he wants is attacks on the infrastructure of Russia. He knows they don't look, they could barely rebuild what's damaged already, right? Like, let's just be honest here. I think he just wants to wait. He's waging a war of attrition. He's just waiting until it gets to the pain point where and I think he's honestly he's been very patient because he's wanting the world to see Zelensky for the criminal he is. And once that happens, he just has to sit there because the no criminal court's coming after him. The criminal court will come after Zelensky for sure.
Well-
International court will go after Zelensky for sure. So he
Well, look, I don't know if that's really going to happen because, I mean, Zelensky bought I think it was, I'm not sure if it's a $20 million property or a $20 million pound. It was $20 million something in London. Like, he's actually bought himself a nice little house in the UK so that he can leave. And currently, from what I understand, he's removing a lot of the people that he works with and
he's pulling a
take
Hitler. He's trying to go to Argentina.
Yeah, he's trying to go and pick up and leave before everything goes to shit.
But the world
Now-
court will catch him. The world court's gonna when this is all dissected, and Putin just has to sit there. Putin just has to sit there and wait for it to catch up with Zelensky. The house of cards is falling.
It's going to take a while, but it'll happen.
Yeah, but again, Zelensky. Zelensky. What's going to happen is it's going to get too hot. Zelensky is going to bail. When he bails, the world court will go after his ass. It'll take 5 or 10 years, but he'll be brought to justice. In the meantime, they're going to install a leader that's favorable to Russia. I'm positive Putin has this lined up. He's KGB. He's a spy. He thinks this way. He's going to have a Russian sympathizer installed as leader in Ukraine. They're going to make nice. They're going to be friends again, and they're probably going to have some kind of some sort of accord between the two nations. And this is how this is going to go.
That is the issue.
A year from now we can look at this and go, yeah.
That is the issue right now with NATO forces in the Ukraine and the US. They don't want to go and send stuff to Ukraine because at some point something is going to happen, and they are absolutely shitting themselves sideways that maybe those weapons will be turned around on them. That's why they're going, oh, here, have some old crap that we don't really need. We've given you some bullets and stuff. Oh, no, oh, gosh, we're trying to go and do more and more and more, but they're not actually using any level of effective, how would you say it? it's like a mate you don't really like,
Yeah.
and they pick a fight, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm here with you, mate. Oh, actually, no, I don't want to get punched in the face. Oh, but I'll be here, like, in a second if things go bad, and then whack, your mate gets hit in the head. It's like, oh no, he's not my mate. He's not
Yeah.
my mate. That's what is happening with the world over there at the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Just really quick, Damien, I don't disagree with you, except that the world court won't go after Zelensky until he flees the nation. When he can actually be proven to be a criminal.
There needs to
when
be a
that
lot of
happens,
stuff that comes out first. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of lies that the media
It's going
has
to take
been
5 years.
covering
No,
up.
I promise you, it's going to take 5 years
Mhm.
before anything happens. It may be 10. Guys, I'm gonna end. I've got to go take a shower, get ready for my actual stream at 8:00 tonight. Please come back. It's been great, just kind of prepping, because I'm just kind of prepping for my stream tonight, and I like to talk politics, which I won't talk too much about tonight. So this was great. Good to have everybody. Good to see you here. I'm going to send you over to Jess, and you guys can continue to prattle on over there. And have a good rest of your day, guys.
I
It's good to see
appreciate you.
Carl,
you letting
Carl,
me
come
on.
back tonight. It'll be a good time. Calamity, come back tonight. It'll be a good time.
all right, guys.
Appreciate it,
Look,
man.
you have a good day, and I'll catch you next time. Yeah.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you.
Take care. Good
See
luck,
ya.
everyone.